Well, hello, loves, and happy Sunday to you. Look at this cutie patootie. Oh, the colors, yes. So today I'm using DECO Art Premium acrylic paints, some fluid acrylics, some craft paints, all by DECO Art. I'm also using some DECO Art matte medium, crackle paint, and gesso, a jelly plate, some collage papers, and that collage pack will be on sale. The stencils I'm using are the new flower stencils and a few oldies but goodies, and those will all be on sale this week as well. So I'm starting out on a 12 by 12 MDF board, and I am putting everything down with my matte medium. And the collage pack will be on sale, and the coupon will be in the subscriber resource library or in your weekly email. And if you are not a subscriber, you can subscribe on the blog, and the link to that is down below in the YouTube description box, as well as the link to all of the supplies and further description and pictures and all that. So I'm starting out with a 5 by 7 jelly plate now that all my papers are down, and I'm brayering off on my nothing journal that I use to create backgrounds in my journal. But I'm using my 5 by 7 as a stamp, basically. And I'm just getting a real light layer, and see that inconsistency? It's just beautiful, and you can't replicate that really any other way but with a jelly plate. And so I'm using the premium acrylic paints on there because they're nice and rich, thick, creamy. You get good coverage. And so because it's 5 by 7, I get a lot of paint on there, which is okay because I use that again I brayer off onto my journal and get some good backgrounds going. So I'm using teal and cerulean blue hue and some white, some gesso, and again just randomly stamping pattern on there. Making sure that it's light so that the papers still show through. So now I'm putting down, this is just plain old titanium white craft paint, and I'm getting a really light coat, and I'm putting that down, and I put down a piece of parchment paper on there to get this really kind of deckled, speckled pattern, and to make it really light so that, again, that background is subtle and the papers are still showing through, and it's just perfect. So this is my vase stencils, large vase stencil, and some fluid acrylic. It's a quinacridone gold, and I get the basic shape, and now I'm coming back in with my crackle paint, my favorite thing on the planet to use, really, and just really get some good crackle going. And now that it's dry, I'm going to come back and place my stencil back down and go back over that crackle. And the reason I put the color down first is because I want that dark kind of crackle, that color to show through once it cracks. And then I'll go back over and just kind of wipe that back with my alcohol to really kind of lighten it up and reveal the texture and the cracks of that crackle paint. It's subtle and yet so beautiful. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow oxide and just kind of age that and really give it kind of that terracotta feel, and just again pulling some of that paint back with alcohol on my rag to kind of reveal the texture and lighten it up. So now we're just going to start building our bouquet of flowers, and I start with my greens, and I'm using avocado and green gold and gesso. And this is my Garden 2 stencil, and I just start laying down. I don't have a rhyme or reason, just kind of thinking initially about placement of flowers and where I might want to see some leaves sticking out, that kind of thing. But really just kind of getting that green down, because it all changes once I get the flowers on there and once I can see more of what the composition is going to be. But I know I want some leaves sticking out and that kind of thing, and this is just a great base for your composition of flowers, for your bouquet of flowers. And so I'm using all the different stencils because they all have leaves on them, different types of leaves and things like that. So I'm using all of them basically to just build that background layer of greens. And I'm mixing the colors and I'm adding some gesso in to that mix so that there's highlights and lowlights, and it's not just a flat green. It's not just, you know, very dull. And so I get a variety of colors by mixing those three things: gesso, the green gold, and the avocado. So now I am, again, I'm using the Americana premium paints because they stencil really well. It's a thicker paint, so I don't get any bleed under, and the colors are really vibrant. And so I am just really playing right now. Just these are my initial layers. And what this does is when I'm using stencils, it's super fast, and I can get all these different layers of flowers. And although not every single one will end up the exact same or will show, they're still there in the background that makes up the total composition of the bouquet. And then of course I'll come back and kind of restructure them and paint them in so that they don't look so stenciled. Some I leave stenciled, some I don't. But one of the most important things about putting the composition together is color, and making sure that I have a variety of colors placed in a variety of places. So, and I'm using complementary colors: purple, yellows, oranges. They all work really well together. Magentas, they all look really good together. And so I'm just now starting to get a vision for where the bouquet is going to go, and really kind of the composition. So I can see the flowers sticking out. I can see that there's some leaves sticking out. And when you're thinking about creating a bouquet of flowers, you want there to be variety. You don't want a round ball of flowers, and you want some variety. So this flower that I put down, I'm using my large rose stencil here. I put the color down and it was way too light. I just did not like it at all. So I went back in and darkened it up and added some blue into my purple to make sure that that color was just a little bit different than all the rest. And then of course the star of the show, the sunflower. And again, I love using stencils because it's quick. It's super quick. I can get the base of my idea like in 10-15 minutes. Then I can go back with my brush and really start building the layers, building the highlights, bringing out the colors, adding to or taking away from if there's something that I don't like. But essentially all of the basis of the bouquet is there. Now I'm just prettying it up and adding some variety and making it look really painted and painterly. But I'm basically coloring. I'm coloring in the lines, or outside the lines maybe, and filling in those gaps and different things like that, and really making them look painted and personal. And adding my my white in here is just gesso. And I use gesso because it mats my paint down. It gives it kind of a chalky, grungy feel, and I like that style. You don't have to use gesso as your white, but I like it because of that reason, because it really gives it a good matte. And when I'm doing shading, I need that kind of matte ground kind of texture, because otherwise the paint would be too slick and I won't get good coverage with my charcoal pencil when I'm shading. And so now I'm just going in and really kind of customizing some of the main focal points of the flowers. The rest of the flowers I will just kind of touch with a little bit of color here and there, but the two purple flowers that are around the sunflower are kind of, you know, part of that show, part of the main focal point there. And so I really wanted to kind of dress those up a little bit, but the rest are all just really, I'm just adding touches of white and maybe connecting some of the blank spaces and different things like that. adding white to my leaves and a little bit of lighter greens and different things like that to just really kind of add the pop and the dimension and the interest that I'm looking for whenever I'm creating flowers. So I'm just going to continue to do that and just add my touches of color here and there. I'm also adding a few leaves and things like that where I felt like I didn't actually put any down or it needed something. There was an empty spot. So I'll add a couple of leaves, but not too much. And I'm just really bringing in highlights and lowlights for all of the different flowers. So now I want to just kind of darken up the edges and give it kind of a rustic feel. I didn't want to do a glaze all the way around, and I'm using Americana glazing medium and raw umber because I wanted that brightness around the flowers. I didn't want it to get too dark and really have everything blend in. I wanted that pop of bright behind the flowers to really make it stand out, but I still wanted a little bit of grungy goodness on there. So now I'm just going to begin the shading process, and I will go over, around, and through everything. I will add some lines in the leaves and in the flowers. I will darken certain spots or part of centers of flowers. And I'm using a General's charcoal pencil for this, and I will just kind of go through everything and add some shade or some darker areas where there might naturally be some of that shadow. When you're thinking about the bouquet of flowers. But I will continue to do this all throughout, and then I will add some shading around the edges, and I will also add my words that I printed on tissue paper with my matte medium. And that's about it. Super simple. I love creating flowers this way, using my stencils as my guide, and really creating, I mean, it's dramatic bouquet of flowers just with a few simple things. So I hope you enjoyed the project today, and if you did, subscribe and like. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, ask any questions, check out the blog post. All kinds of good stuff happened this week. We're starting our search for a new creative team, and live videos in the Facebook page, and all kinds of goodness. So stick around for the conversation at the end. It's really important, really important. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and I will see you next week. Well, hello loves, so glad you are here for this Sunday inspiration. Look at this beautifulness, color, contrast, the whole everything is here in this texture. Good. I went over through the video, but I just want to say that if you have not used a jelly plate, you need to try. This is a 5x7, and it's a good one to start with. It's less expensive, whatever, but you can do so much with it and use it like a stamp, like I did. Just great texture and real unexpected texture. And so, like this. Here that I put this parchment paper down on the jelly plate and then stamped it down to get some variety. There's just so many things that you can do with your jelly plate that is just so much fun. I share some of that. You can do so many things, but the abstract workshop, we do a lot of jelly plate work. Anyway, so the stencils that'll be on sale this week for this project is the large rose one, the vase. See if I can vase. And then the new stencils, flower bouquet and roses and peonies. And then this is a really old one that I have had in the shop forever. I mean, I think this was one of the very first ones that I ever did. But this is one of my favorites, the sunflower. And I just love using stencils as my guide because I can get the placement real fast and then go back over it with my brush strokes to really give it that really truly painted feel. I just love using my stencils as my guide. And off of camera, I, of course, finished shading and that kind of thing. I put my words down, and then I came back in with just my black and white Sharpie paint markers and just added a few dots here and there just for some little bit of visual interest. Not that it needed a whole lot. And that was it. And I just love how it turned out. So awesome. So this says, it's all about finding calm in the chaos. And every time I come and approach a painting, no matter if it's for Sunday inspiration or if I'm just creating without anybody watching, I always approach it as, what do I need to hear today? And that always begins the process. That's where I start choosing my papers for the background. Oh, and the collage pack for this piece will be listed and will also be on sale this week. There'll be a coupon in the subscriber resource library or your weekly email. So that's why when I start thinking about what I need to hear for the day or the moment, or whatever I'm feeling, that's where I always approach what I'm going to create. And that, like I said, that starts the process of choosing the papers. And so like this, most of these postcards, it was like a letter to myself, like, I need this message. And so that was some of the papers that I chose for the background, and that begins the process. When I start to kind of take a look at what I need to feel or am feeling or those kinds of things, and I examine my emotions when I start to create, that always gives me a basis for what to create and where to go. And so when I asked myself that, what do I need? It was definitely, I need some calm, because we're super busy and we're headed into the crazy season of just shows all the time up until, this will go through till January. And so I just needed, I needed to take a breath. And originally this was going to say breathe. And because that's what I kept telling myself, just breathe, Shawn, just breathe. But my assistant April found this quote and I loved it. So it made its way to here because it was perfect for what I was wanting to create in this piece. And when I think about what gives me peace and what gives me calm, the flowers came to mind. And I didn't do hardly anything in the background because I really wanted the focal point to be here and just the incredible blessing and beauty of the flowers. And to me, that's calming. But what if you are finding yourself in a kind of chaotic time? And sometimes life is just that. It's just that. It's chaotic and we don't get to choose how our days go sometimes. As try as we might, sometimes things just don't go the way that we had planned. And I thought I would share with you some of the things that I do to find the calm in the chaos. And there are three things that I'll share with you. There are a lot, because I'm always working in chaos, it seems like. And my personality is to kind of always be kind of on the edge. That's just kind of my personality type. And so I'm always working to chill out. But the three main things that I do is I will schedule some time. I'll wake up early when I know that I've got a lot to do and I'm feeling that kind of chaos within my soul. I will wake up early and I will read. I will read whatever inspirational material for the day, to just really get me in the right frame of mind. And that could be a lot of things, and that could be something different for you, but it could be my Bible, or it could be a really good book. And I very rarely read fiction books. I'm usually always reading some type of biography or inspirational story of someone overcoming. And so I always read something first that really sets a frame for my day and what I can get accomplished, and really, really inspire me. And then 2, I write every day. I write every single day in my journal. I have my art journals and I have my writing journals, and sometimes they collide, but mainly they're separate. And for the day, I write out, and it's almost like a prayer. I write out what I'm thankful for. And I'm telling you, if we can get into the practice, and I do this every day, of writing out what you're grateful for, immediately it calms my soul. Immediately. Because so often the things that I find that are chaotic I've created myself, or I'm making them bigger than they are. And as soon as I can realize what I'm grateful for, I kind of can take a deep breath and say all that other stuff. It'll get done, we'll make it through, or whatever it is. But so I read something inspirational. I write in my journal. I write out my day. I write what I want to get done, how I want to feel. If we don't write these, and I say this over and over again, when we physically write something out, it physically changes our brain. And not writing out, I hate today, but writing out how I want to feel, what I'm grateful for, all of those things that are building up our souls and giving us peace, I write those out every single day. And then 3rd, I try to take a second. So all these other things are action. So I'm reading, I'm writing. And then the 3rd thing, before I dive into all the craziness of the day, the emails, the orders, the stuff, I get quiet. I get silent, and you can call it meditation, you can call it prayer, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but I get silent. And I don't let any other sound in, and silence is scary for a lot of people. But I get quiet. And I just, again, without writing it, I'm going back over in my mind kind of what I'm thankful for, envisioning what I want to see for the day, how I want to feel, and I'm thankful. This is a place of being thankful. And for me, this is my practice. For me, I'm thanking God for what I have for the day, that I got to wake up and put clothes on, and I'm thankful for whatever. And I'm just quiet. It's in my head, no words. I'm just quiet, and I breathe, and I take a second to just let it go. And then you begin. Then those are the main 3 things that I do every single day to really calm the chaos. And some days I do it better than others. But I really try to do it every single day, because once you're done with that, then you dive into the day, and all hell can break loose, or whatever. It can just be crazy. And so I hope that your days are calm. I hope they are, but very few people really experience super calm days, and things just, the car breaks down, the kids are crying, whatever it is. Who knows? But if you're finding yourself in chaos, try those 3 things. And I promise you that if you do them regularly, they will make a difference. They will really calm and soothe your spirit. All right, my loves, I hope your Sunday is awesome, and I hope it's not chaotic. But if it is, there is a way to find the calm. And gratitude is the number 1 way to calm the chaos. I hope your Sunday is restful, and I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.